Fun fact: Spyderco was the first company to make a one-handed opening knife, and the first American company to make a liner lock. Spyderco was also the first to use G10, carbon fiber, titanium, and integral pocket clips for their knives.
Hi everyone, today's video is going to be a very special review of something I've been looking forward to doing, and in particular because of the knife that I'm going to be sharing with you today. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, the Sprint Run with carbon fiber handle scales, and the S90V blade steel. This knife was given to me in December of 2010 by a good friend, Kirk, or Hypothesis7 here on YouTube. When we met up for the Force Multiplier 3 video, he was kind enough to give this Paramilitary 2 to me. Ever since then, it has been my main EDC blade. I've carried it pretty much day in and day out ever since then, obviously swapping a couple other knives in just for testing, but for the most part, this has been my main EDC blade. I really don't have enough words to explain how much I've enjoyed carrying this knife and how much of an outstanding EDC it is. It is one of those knives where you don't understand the hype of it, why people enjoy it so much, until you actually pick one up and hold it in your hands for yourself. So in this video, I just want to talk about the finer points of this knife. I do have the Paramilitary 1, which I will be doing a comparison video between the two knives later, but for this video, I really want to focus on the Paramilitary 2 and let it shine. So to start off, I just want to say thank you again, Kirk. You were too kind, and this knife has really opened my eyes up to what a perfect EDC is. So to start off with, the big thing you'll notice are the handle scales. The Sprint Run version of the Paramilitary 2 that had the peel-ply carbon fiber handle scales. And when I first picked this knife up and held it, I was very surprised with the texture. It was not a carbon fiber handle scale that I had been used to after using the Sage 1 for many months as an EDC. The Sage has a twill carbon fiber handle scale, and this is a peel-ply carbon fiber handle scale, which is very similar in texture to G10. If you were to pick up a G10 Paramilitary 2 and this knife side by side, they would have a very, very similar texture. And I really like that. You have the elegance, you have the look of carbon fiber, but you have the texture that everyone loves from G10. And the thing I like about Spyderco is that they don't make their G10 overly aggressive. It has just enough grip and just enough texture to really lock your hand in a very comfortable and controllable position, but it doesn't tear up your hand and doesn't tear up your pocket when you're taking the knife in and out. Another thing you'll notice is the oversized hardware on the handle scale itself. Now, a lot of the stuff on the Paramilitary 2 that it changed from the Paramilitary 1 is just making things larger. So it kind of fits the entire theme. Alright, so you have larger hardware here, both the pivot and the screws holding the knife together. Alright, these are Torx screws that you can use to adjust the knife if need to. The pivot screw here also is a special bushing system, which allows you to loosen or tighten the pivot screw without affecting the speed or the smoothness of the opening. Alright, it's really a great system, and it really allows this Paramilitary 2 to shine. You also have an oversized lanyard hole here, which is a big improvement over the basically useless, extremely small lanyard hole on the Paramilitary 1. You could barely get 450 paracord through the Paramilitary 1 hole. On the Paramilitary 2 lanyard hole, you can easily get 2 or 3 strands of 550 through there if you wanted to. Another notable difference here on the handle is the 4-way positionable pocket clip, left hand or right hand tip up or tip down carry. Absolutely love when Spyderco gives you a full range of options for anyone or any user who's looking to carry this knife in an EDC fashion. Okay, if we open up the knife here, it exposes the awesome CPM S90V blade steel. Now, to be honest, I can't tell too much of a difference between S90V and S30V. However, I do appreciate the hardness of the steel, the ability of it to retain an extremely sharp edge, and the lack of upkeep and maintenance that's required. Ever since I received this knife, ever since I've started using it, I haven't had to touch it up, I haven't had to sharpen it one bit. It's been razor sharp from the factory and has performed flawlessly. Again, I don't know much of a difference between S30V and S90V, but it is pretty cool to have it. Alright, this is a 3.5 inch long blade, which is a little bit longer than the Paramilitary 1. So this is typically larger than I would normally carry, but this Paramilitary 2 has really opened my eyes up to slightly larger knives for EDC. Another difference is a redesign in the handle ergonomics of the Paramilitary 2. The Paramilitary 1 was comfortable, but it did have some odd shapes and sizes of the handle, which did make it uncomfortable after extended use. They did thin out the back portion of the handle here and kind of redesign how the rear portion swooped in, and it makes it very comfortable to hold and to use. Alright, one thing you really notice when you pick up the knife is how comfortable it sits in your hand, how comfortable it is to manipulate, and how easy it is to control the knife. Alright, you can really reach back and kind of scoot your hands back and use it this way, or you can choke up with the finger choil for more finer detailed cutting if necessary. Like I mentioned, with all the oversized adjustments, they also enlarged the opening hole to make it really easy to get in there, open the knife, deploy it very quickly and easy. Right. With me, for the Paramilitary 1, I did notice the lane hole was a little bit small, and because I have larger hands, it was somewhat difficult to get my thumb in there to properly deploy the blade. But now with an oversized opening hole, that's been eliminated. Another cool thing about this knife is it's made in Golden, Colorado, USA Earth. Always love when Spyderco puts out on their knives. And you can see both Eric and Sal Glesser's mark on the blade itself. Right. You also see the compression lock, which is the locking mechanism on this knife. This is again brought from the Paramilitary 1. I actually really like this system. It's basically a liner lock flipped, so instead of having the liner engage on the bottom here, it engages on the top. Still engages the spine or the tang of the blade in the same position, just in different orientation. You do have a slight row of jimping in front of the compression lock and continuing on to the thumb ramp of the blade itself. But overall, outstanding tolerances. I would expect nothing less from Spyderco, and especially from a Spyderco sprint run. Blade centering is perfect. Tolerance between the handle and the knife itself, absolutely perfect. This knife is just, it shows the dedication and attention to detail that Spyderco takes in every single one of their knives. Also, very, very tight and stiff ball bearing detent, really allows the blade to lock back in place so it won't deploy if it's in your pocket. Doesn't hinder the opening whatsoever, but very, very nice, exceptional quality, outstanding EDC. Paramilitary 2 from Spyderco, awesome. Now for a quick size comparison, we have the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 in the center here. I'm just going to compare it to a couple of the knives that you might be familiar with. So first off, we have the ZT-0350, Spyderco Sage 1, Spyderco Persistence, and Benchmade Mini Griptilian. So my final thoughts on the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. This is an outstanding knife. It's been a joy to use and carry as an EDC, and I will continue to do so for many months in the future. Now this is the sprint run. Only 600 pieces were made of this particular knife, and so if you guys are interested, it's going to be a little bit difficult to find one. I'm sure you can, but on the secondary market the price is going to be quite elevated. If you like all the features and stuff I've discussed in this video, the Paramilitary 2 is a standard production knife from Spyderco, just with slightly different materials, G10 handle scales and S90V, but those by themselves are outstanding and will do the job just fine. This is one of the knives that I will recommend continuously. It is an outstanding EDC, an outstanding utility knife, and again, Spyderco did an outstanding job with this. If anyone's interested in a hard use utility or EDC knife, or even something as a gentleman's folder, this would fit in there perfectly. Definitely suggest checking it out. Again, I appreciate everyone for watching. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.